asked for it. The Chevy Impala SS versus the Mercury Marauder. One escaped the institution and became a street legend. The other was buried by its own department before it could build a strong case. This is not a car comparison. This is a murder investigation, and you guys are the grand jury. There are cases that never really close. The paperwork gets filed, the witnesses disappear, the departments move on. But every few years, somebody opens the box again, spreads the photographs across a table, and asks the same question. Did we get this one wrong? This is one of those cases. Everybody remembers the Impala SS, and that's a bit weird, because if this story were decided by horsepower, engineering, or common sense, we'd be talking about the Mercury Marauder instead. But we're not, and that's the entire mystery. Everybody remembers the winner. Almost nobody remembers the car that should have won. The Mercury Marauder had more horsepower, a more advanced engine, a decade of engineering progress on its side. Ford finally built the answer. Then Ford buried it. 11,000 cars. End of file. So here's the question. If the Marauder was the better machine, why does everybody still remember the Impala? By the time Chevrolet figured out what the Impala SS had become, it was already too late. Not too late for production, too late for ownership, because ownership had changed hands. The engineers built the car. The streets claimed it. Houston got there first, then Los Angeles, then Chicago. Every city seemed to arrive at the same conclusion. The Impala wasn't transportation, it was a statement. The story begins in the early 1990s, a period when Detroit wasn't supposed to be building cars like this anymore. The muscle car era was over. Insurance companies had won. Fuel crises had changed priorities. Imports were rewriting the rule book. The future was supposed to be smaller, more efficient, and more sensible. Then General Motors did something unexpected. It looked at a full-size police sedan and saw potential. And here's the part few people hear. The Impala SS started life as a project so harmless, corporate management barely paid attention to it. An appearance package. That's it. Paint, badges, trim. Then, a handful of engineers started slipping police hardware into the plan. A suspension here, a component there. One decision at a time. Until management accidentally approved a car they never intended to build. The car was basically smuggled into existence. The formula sounds almost crude, but that's exactly why it worked. The Impala didn't ask Americans to learn something new. It reminded them of something they already loved. Big sedan, big V8, rear-wheel drive. No apologies, no explanations, just presence. And presence matters, because cars are never purchased entirely with logic. They're purchased with emotion. You saw it in traffic, you moved over. You saw it parked, you looked twice. You saw it in your rearview mirror, you checked your speed. The car carried the visual authority of a police interceptor, even when it wasn't one, and Americans loved it. But here's the first clue in our investigation. The Impala wasn't just successful, it became culturally untouchable. Successful cars sell. Untouchable cars escape ownership and become symbols. And that's exactly what happened. The Impala left Chevrolet's control almost immediately. Car clubs adopted it. Custom builders embraced it. Street racers modified it. Rappers featured it. Collectors preserved it. The car developed a second life that no marketing department could manufacture. But while America was celebrating the Impala, Ford engineers were quietly building a counterargument. And unlike Chevrolet's rogue officer, this one wasn't interested in charisma. It was interested in evidence. Its name was Marauder, and it was about to make a very compelling case. The Mercury Marauder entered the investigation almost a decade later, and by then, the world had changed. That matters, because cars don't compete against each other in a vacuum. They compete against their moment. The Impala arrived during the last great resurgence of traditional American performance sedans. The Marauder arrived in 2003, a very different America. And Ford's answer didn't look special either. From a distance, most people saw a Crown Victoria, but underneath, it was a different animal. This wasn't the old two-valve V8. Ford gave the Marauder a 4.6-liter dual overhead cam V8, 32 valves, 302 horsepower. The Impala made 260. Although it was a second slower from 0 to 60 than the Impala, it was slower on the quarter mile too. And it had a top speed limited to only 117 miles per hour. But the Marauder responded quicker. It had better engineering and better spec numbers, which should have ended the argument. Only it did not. Because nobody falls in love with a spreadsheet. While the Marauder was building a resume, the Impala was building memories. And while the Impala was building memories, SUVs were taking over driveways. Like I said, different America. The market that had embraced the Impala wasn't disappearing, but it was shrinking. And into that shrinking space walked Mercury. At first glance, the Marauder seemed to have everything it needed. The name was perfect, Marauder, a name that sounded less like transportation and more like a felony. The styling worked too. Black grille, black trim, black wheels, minimal chrome. It was menacing without being theatrical. And yet, something strange happened. People admired it, but they didn't buy it. That's one of the most important clues in this entire case. People loved the idea of the Marauder. Far fewer loved the transaction. The Marauder wasn't competing against the memory of the Impala. It was competing against everything. Mustangs, Corvettes, German sports sedans, used luxury cars, performance imports. The field was crowded. And unlike Chevrolet in the mid-1990s, Mercury no longer possessed cultural momentum. That wasn't the Marauder's fault, but it was absolutely its problem. Because cars do not sell themselves. Companies sell cars. The detective had arrived at the crime scene, but his department was already in the process of being shut down. By the early 2000s, Mercury had an identity problem. Its average customer was older, its products were softer, its image was safer. The Marauder didn't fit. It was an outlaw wearing the wrong badge, an expensive performance sedan sitting inside a brand that wasn't built to sell expensive performance sedans. And eventually, the people managing that brand won the argument. Not the engineers, the managers. The engineers spent months figuring out how to make the car work. The managers spent one meeting deciding it shouldn't continue. And just like that, it was over. 11,000 cars. End of file. 2 black American performance sedans, 2 V8 engines, 2 manufacturers, 2 completely different outcomes. One became a legend. One became a footnote. The verdict splits in half, and that's when this case finally starts making sense. Let's begin with the easiest verdict, the cultural verdict. This one isn't close. The Chevrolet Impala SS won. Not because of magazine tests, not because of specification sheets, not because of engineering sophistication, because culture chose it. And culture doesn't use the same scoring system as engineers. Culture rewards identity and the ability to make people feel something. The Impala did all of those things. It became recognizable far beyond the automotive world. The car became larger than itself. Once that happens, the competition is effectively over. The public saw the car, understood the car, adopted the car, and never gave it back. But now we turn to the engineering verdict. And this is where things become uncomfortable. Because engineering is indifferent to popularity. Engineers don't care about nostalgia. They don't care about reputation. They care about solutions. And viewed through that lens, the Marauder presents a compelling argument. The more modern powertrain philosophy, the more sophisticated chassis behavior, the more refined overall package. The Marauder wasn't trying to recreate the past. It was trying to take the American performance sedan into a different era. And for a certain type of enthusiast, that's exactly what makes the car fascinating. The detective built a strong case, strong enough that 20 years later, people are still debating it. Strong enough that we're sitting here discussing it right now. And that matters, because forgotten cars don't generate investigations. The Marauder lost the marketplace, but it never lost the argument. The Chevrolet Impala SS proved something too. It proved that emotional connection matters, that charisma matters, that cultural adoption can outweigh technical superiority. It showed what people actually wanted. So, did we get it wrong? Was the Marauder actually the better car? Maybe. The evidence certainly supports the discussion. Was the Impala the more important car? Almost certainly. The evidence supports that too. And that's why this case never truly closes. Because there is no contradiction. The Mercury Marauder can be the better machine. The Chevrolet Impala SS can be the greater legend. Now the file's on your desk. You've seen the evidence. You've heard both sides. The rogue officer who walked away from the institution and became a legend. And the detective who spent years building a case nobody wanted to hear. So I want your verdict. Did the Impala SS deserve the crown? Or did the Mercury Marauder get buried before it ever got a fair trial? Drop your verdict in the comments. And if you enjoy digging through forgotten rivalries, automotive history, engineering battles, and the stories Detroit left behind, subscribe. We've got more case files to open. Courts adjourned.